Hey YouTube, welcome to the new series all about that game. Today I'll be discussing everything about the game Identity Fraud. It was created by the group known as Team Motherboard. It has more than 6 million visits and was created on the first day of 2016, so January 1st. And was last updated on June 14th of 2017. It has a max players of 10 people. It has over 100,000 favorites and has a like to dislike ratio of 5.125. Now on to the in-game stuff. When you first join, you are greeted to a dialogue sequence which thankfully you can skip. But when you are playing it for the first time, you should read the whole thing because it really gets into the lore of the game and also sets the mood quite perfectly. When the dialogue is over, you will find yourself teleported into a maze where you spawn can differ and there are multiple spawn points. The first maze consists of long hallways with occasional dimming lights and some hallways which can have a dead end due to metal bars blocking your way. But luckily you can see behind them to get a better sense of where you are. The first maze has 3 monsters to look out for. The main one and the most common one that you'll find in every maze is Stan. Stan is a black shadow creature with red eyes who can get you pretty good if you're not looking out for him. He'll sneak behind you and will kill you right after he screams. One way to avoid being killed by Stan is just by looking at him. He can't move if you look at him. He's like Identity Fraud's version of a weeping angel. Also, Stan only kills right after he screams, or occasionally if you're stupid enough to touch him. So if you hear his scream, all you have to do is run or just move. Stan cannot kill you if you are in constant motion unless you are touching him like an idiot or you're running towards him. If you keep looking at him so he doesn't move, there is one problem. He will be following you forever because you can't look at him forever. So if you are looking at him and then you turn the corner, Stan will keep on following you. He latches onto you. He does not let up on his target until he screams. So the one thing you can do is lure him close enough to scream and try to kill you, but still running at that moment so he won't be able to. Just because he screams doesn't mean you're going to die. It gives you a little bit to realize Stan's behind you and is trying to kill you, and gives you enough time to start running so he doesn't. And once he screams and you are still alive, he will move on to another target. But remember, he might come back for a second chance at you later. The second monster you have to worry about is the Identity Fraud and the original monster of the game. As his name suggests, he steals identities. If you are in direct eye view of the Identity Fraud and you are close enough to him, it will start what's called the chase. You will find your view to be distorted, and also your walk speed will have increased a ton. It will be hard to move around and not bump into walls while you're this fast. If you find yourself in this predicament, the only thing you can do is run for your freaking life, cause you're gonna die. Not always do you die if you run perfectly without hitting walls or slowing down, but it is very common. Once the Identity Fraud kills someone, it will take the appearance of the character it just killed, and that is why it's called Identity Fraud. One dangerous thing about it is that it can be very hard to determine if the Identity Fraud is actually the Identity Fraud or actually one of your friends or fellow Robloxians. It has been well scripted to act like a normal player. One major thing that the Identity Fraud does to make it obvious that it is the Identity Fraud is wave. You're in first person in this game, so you can't tell what your character does or what it looks like or anything. So you don't know if putting in the normal E-Wave chat command actually makes you wave. I've tested it with friends and I can confirm that if you put in the chat command E-Wave, it will not have your character wave. This means if you see someone wave, like they've inputted the E-Wave chat command, that, for Pete's sake, is the Identity Fraud. Some hardcore speedrunners will use identity fraud to get through Maze 1 extremely fast because of the speed boost you get when it chases you. This is extremely dangerous and is not advised unless you are extremely skilled and know what you're doing. The last monster to worry about in Maze 1, and most likely the least common and the least dangerous, is Ralph. Ralph is a humanoid character who has a mask and a chainsaw. He will chase you if you get into his view field, which is endless, and the only way to get out of it is to be behind a hallway wall. Just don't be in his view sight. If he does see you, run the opposite direction and hope there's another player you run into that you can use as bait so you can get away, or you can throw away one of your party members if you have any and use them as bait. Ralph, just like identity fraud, roams freely, but Ralph seems to be a little bit slower and doesn't move as much when no one is around. When you get to the exit of Maze 1, you will find a metal door and a green button. All you have to do is press the green button and you'll be able to enter Maze 2. But remember, if you do press the green button, it will turn red and it will take several minutes, long minutes, for it to turn green again and be able to use to open the door again. Now on to Maze 2. Maze 2 has 2 monsters. As we move on to other mazes, Stan will always follow. So Stan being one of the 2 monsters you have to worry about means there's only one I have to discuss for Maze 2. For Stan has the same traits throughout every maze. Only Stan might get a bit more aggressive the closer you get to the end. The other monster other than Stan is Alice. Alice is a scary monster to encounter due to the fact that it's very hard to escape from and or just to survive once it's latched onto you. If you see Alice from far away, it will normally be in the form of 2 glowing yellow eyes. But when she gets closer, she does materialize into a Medusa-looking humanoid form. If you see her, that means she's already latched onto you, and you freaking either have to be lucky and make it to the end, or leave one of your party members as bait, because for the love of mercy, you have to survive. I have never encountered a time where I could shake her off after she has latched onto me, other than leaving bait. She is not dangerous when she is in her glowing eye form, but she can quickly materialize to kill you. Like Ralph, she kills by touch and has a bit of a faster walk speed than you. I have yet to figure out what causes her to materialize, if it's by proximity or looking at her, etc. All I know is that it doesn't help to look at her like Stan. I have yet to find any true strategies to surviving her. I only hope on my speedruns that I never encounter her. More about Maze 2, it is a grassy field with large hedges, no ceiling this time, dirt ground, and rather than Maze 1 having only 1 exit, Maze 2 has 1 main exit and 2 secret doors. One being a secret exit to Maze 2, and another one is just a secret room with nothing really important. The main exit has a green button, just like Maze 1. But this time, when you push it, the door won't open. This time, it will print 4 numbers right below the button. All you have to do is chat those numbers into the chat in-game and save them. Once you say those numbers, the door will open like normal. So one of the secret exits can be found in the maze where there's a hedge wall that is actually non-collidable, meaning you can walk through it as if there was nothing actually there. You'll find yourself in a hallway that looks similar to Maze 1 hallways. It is very dim and the only light is a strobing red light, which can be very annoying. But once you find your way to the exit of the hallway, you will start to hear music, and you'll find another door with a big amount of text under the normal green button we find by doors. I will not be explaining how to decipher the code, for that is part of the fun to these secret doors, but what I will say is that behind this secret door, there is a disco party room that also has another door that doesn't require a passcode to Maze 3. The other secret door uses a harder code to decipher, and the fact of it being harder is funny because the reward you get for opening it is nothing. It's just a cool room with a teleporting looking thing at the end, which does nothing and really is just for looks and the achievement of getting there. Sometimes the code and button are gone from where they normally are. I don't know if this means someone in the server has already said the code and is unusable twice, or if there's another factor to play. All I know is that sometimes it's there and sometimes it's not. On to Maze 3, the hardest maze of them all, and there is only one new monster to worry about. But it can be the most annoying / troubling. His name is Jason. Jason looks like a man with a disco head, and he basically is. When he sees you moving, he will light up red in the head and will chase you down. He has a faster walking speed, but unlike the others, he will not insta-kill on touch. He damages you slowly on touch, and the only way for him to stop is by stopping the movement of your character, rather than the opposite strategies for all the others which you want to move for. The one problem for this, though, is that your good old friend Stan is also here. Stan and Jason are the dynamic duo. Jason will make you stop moving, and guess what? Stan only kills you if you're not moving. So really, it's just a toss-up of who you want to die from first. You gotta play it smart and conservative, and make sure you are able to move at all times just in case of Stan appearing once again. One problem with Maze 3 is that I always find myself somehow coming back to the entrance. It is a very confusing maze and can make your head spin for ages, and you can spend hours in there. At the end of Maze 3, you will hear a beeping noise. And a door without any buttons. Sadly, there's no button. Basically, the beeping you hear is Morse code. If you do not know what Morse code is, I'd advise you to search it up. If you know what it is, but you don't know how to decipher it, I just recommend searching up Morse code on Google, then going to Google Images to find some easy-to-use decipher sheets for Morse code. To know when the Morse code starts in-game, just wait for an unusual, long pause in the beeps. The Morse code may not be the same in all servers, so you can't use the same code every time. But once you figure it out, all you have to do is chat the numbers in-game and the door will open. And after that, good job! You passed every maze. But guess what? You have one more puzzle to do, and it will open big fancy doors that you will find right after you exit Maze 3. I will say that the code is hexadecimal, but you'll have to find your own way to decipher it. Don't worry about monsters, because after Maze 3, there is no monsters except for entering the last door. And don't worry also about dying in what's behind the other door, because this is a save point, a spawn save point. So now, if you will die, you will spawn there. And don't think of it as a halfway point, because it's not. It's the end point. The final battle, as the game puts it, is right behind those doors. Once you open the big fancy doors by deciphering the hexadecimal and entering the code in the game chat, you will find a completely dark room. I'd advise to stay on the edges of the room. When the door shuts, the lights will be turned on and you'll find yourself in a room of pillars and a weird creature in the middle of the room that will shoot lasers at you. Big point of survival, folks, is to stand behind the pillars. The mechanics will change when the monster's health has been lowered low enough, and you'll start throwing bombs at you while lava is flooding the room, causing you to have to jump on some rocks that stay afloat in the lava. The only way to damage this monster is by the tool the game gives you, which is a rocket launcher. One advice is when it's in the laser pillar stage, stand behind the pillars, move just a good amount so that your rocket launcher is pointing out from the pillar so you can keep on shooting the monster without the monster trying to shoot you with its lasers. And if you do get shot, wait till your health goes all the way back up. There is no time limit in this boss fight, so take all the time you need and make sure you don't die. But once you defeat the monster, the ending game credits will start rolling. And congrats! You are done. You have finished the game. The game has one more surprise for you in the end. Once the credits are done, the game will kick you off the server with a message of congrats and goodbye. Okay, looks like that is all about the game Identity Fraud. But look out, Team Motherboard has also released the game's sequel, Identity Fraud 2. It's packed with more mazes, more monsters, and more lore than the first game had ever given us. YouTube, stay fast, stay speedy. Thanks for watching.